Tony Romo said something that caught my ear over the weekend because everybody is talking about Tennessee. He said that there will be 4 or 5, I'm paraphrasing, there'll be 4 or 5 NFL teams that should go after or will go after Josh Heupel. Let me ask you, just schematically, would Josh Heupel's offense be successful in the NFL?
Well, it doesn't matter whether it's not his offense. When you hire a coach, you don't hire him because of his offense or his scheme. You hire him for his brain, the ability, because no scheme works consistently in the NFL. No scheme works consistently in football because people will eventually adjust to what you're doing, and then you have to adjust to that and be creative. So you never want to hire a coach because he has a scheme. I love him, but there's always going to be a ceiling regardless of where he coaches with a Mike Leach, because he has one scheme and he doesn't adjust because he learned football one way from one guy, Hal Mummy, in a small school in Iowa and Division III school in Iowa, and he's never played, he's never been exposed to other things. Josh Heupel has. Josh Heupel, this is not Josh Heupel's offense. This is an amalgamation of things that Josh has learned that has become his offense. In other words, when he was at Oklahoma, not as a player, but as a coach, he was fired because he wasn't very good. And I've talked to him about it. It's the best thing that ever happened to him and he got fired because he couldn't take the offense to a different level. He got tied in with the Art Briles concept, the Jeff Levy, Kendall Briles. Then Josh Heupel became this tempo. Josh didn't invent the tempo, the fast tempo, all this stuff that he runs. That's not Josh. That's Josh learning from other folks, which is what you do in coaching. And Josh taking it, and all those wide splits, that's all Art Briles stuff, Baylor stuff. Go back and look at the tape there. So he's learned that, he's implemented that, and then he's put his own touch to it. So he absolutely would be a great guy in the NFL because he can learn, he can adjust, he can scheme. That's what you want. You want to hire somebody that has ideas because you want somebody in any business that has to evolve. In your business, the business you guys are in, you want to have somebody that, I mean, the technology changes, right? The
little bit.
So, it's like you want somebody that's an expert on this and nothing else. Well, then what happens as things evolve? Well, I don't know that. Well, then that doesn't help you. You want somebody that can think outside the box and adjust and grow and have a dynamic to do it. It's one of the things, and I've known Jimbo Fisher for years and like him a lot, but, he hasn't really evolved. And he's got a very complex system. And it's great when you can get all the guys with 3 years of experience in it and it hits. What happens in the 2-3 years leading up to that? You got transfers coming in. One of the best at being able to see the game from a different is Lane Kiffin. Lane Kiffin, this offense that he runs, it's not his offense. And he was at USC as a young assistant. He was running a pro-style offense. Two backs. He's running, was passing game centric at Alabama. Now it's run game centric tempo. So a lot of what Josh does is like any good coach. You learn, you study. That's the type of guys, Lane, Josh, that you want, that can think and grow, because they will take. West Coast offense was the most successful offense, the Bill Walsh derivative. But as Bill Walsh's proteges took place, what Bill Walsh ran was caught up to.
Yeah.
And then so now we're not going to use the fullback as much. So you evolve it. And so the West Coast, whether run a West Coast version, it doesn't look like it. It's like, well, the air raid, there's only two people that run an air raid, the pure air raid, Mike Leach and Graham Harrell. The rest of them, this is not air raid. This is a complete, it's different.
Well, Chris, let me ask you this. And you talked to a lot of coaches, and we'll let you get out of here. Do you think that Josh Heupel because nowadays the money is close to the same in college and the NFL. A lot of people back in the 80s and 90s want to go to the NFL because the money was better and it was perceived as a better job. I don't believe personally it's a better job just because you're in the NFL or college. I think they're equal. I think they're just different. The difference is, though, maybe there's a little bit more prestige being in the NFL, but you get to mold young men in college, which I think is something that Josh Heupel does care about from people I've talked to. So let me ask you this: from the people you talk to, what are his motivations long term in coaching? Can you give me any insight into that?
Not really, because I haven't really gone down that path with them. It is very individual. I think the whole molding of men is a nice concept. I think that's getting less and less of an issue. I think that college football is becoming a turnoff to a lot of college coaches because of the NIL.
Hmm.
You build something, you don't know what you did. So you have to. Here's what you want if you're college football. If you like recruiting, if you like having the complete control, because you are the head coach and GM of your football program. The athletic director is kind of works for you to help you do that, but and can be a part of firing and what have you. But there's now the other thing that's a little bit challenging, depending upon the school and the structure. Who do you really work for? Whereas in the NFL, you're working for the owner, and in that. But I think it depends upon, do you like recruiting? Do you like, if you like the part of developing players and mentoring them, that's becoming less and less appealing because many of them are leaving. So it becomes frustrating for coaches. I think I mentioned to you about a year ago, the last offseason, I did a lot of coaching search work. I had about 60% more college coaches asking me to help them get into the NFL than ever before.
Wow.
Assistant coaches, some head coaches,
Jeremy
because
Pruitt.
they, that's because
Sorry.
he has no choice now. I actually he's doing the poker thing, I think. But no, I think it's very individual. The money part, you're right. You can get big money. You still got more money in the NFL, but yeah, I mean, there's some places where you can make just as money in college. It just depends on what they want to do and what the market is. I will say this, that Josh can send a thank you note to Tony about that, because that's what really happens. You get that stuff,
Yeah.
Mentioned. I mean, that's the thing with that. Did you see that Hugh Freeze got a raise and a new contract at Liberty? Well, why did that happen? His agent, you know who, the guy that represents most, $5 million a year. So it is okay on the surface. Well, so it makes it better for him to stay here at Liberty with us. But what it also does, it puts the bar that says Auburn, okay, the asking price is probably 7.5, 7. Yep. That's kind of where it is, because it's unlike the NFL. When you sign a contract, you can't leave. You can't leave the Cowboys to go to the Eagles or vice versa. In college football, you can sign a contract on Monday with Liberty, and then you can leave on Wednesday to go to Auburn or wherever it is. So I don't know. I don't have the answer to what Josh wants to do, but creative offensive minds are what is most appealing to NFL guys, because all the rules that favor the offense. Now, to answer your question, his style, well, the fast tempo won't work as good in the NFL because they don't allow it. You don't allow as much downfield blocking, but it's not relevant whether what he's doing at Tennessee is going to work in the NFL. He is smart enough to be able to modify what he does that will work. And there's some things that he does that are already being done. Watch the Philadelphia Eagles. You watch the Chiefs. Some of that stuff is being done just because it may not look the same, but it is a lot of the same concept. So, yeah, he's a bright guy that's got a good future. And I don't know what he wants. I don't know that he's in long term for recruiting, or I have no idea. I really haven't, because I haven't talked to him about it. I hope for Tennessee's sake that he's in there for the long haul, but we don't know.
No, we really don't. Chris, great stuff. LandryFootball.com. You will be smarter than all your friends if you go there. LandryFootball.com.